welcome you. Today we're taking a really unique deep dive.
It definitely feels different this time.
Yeah, you shared this, well, fascinating transcript with us. It's from a regressive hypnosis session, and it's all centered around Kabbalah.
Right, so our job basically is to dig into this specific material.
Exactly. Pull out the key insights, the information, and just, try to make sense of it for you, Kabbalah. It's complex stuff.
It really is. And this source, well, it's definitely unconventional. Let's see what it offers.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this.
So what jumps out right away is the initial reaction from Alla, the person under hypnosis.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
She saw this downward moving corridor, almost like an escalator, and it led into this swirling vortex.
Wow, okay. Intense imaging.
And she felt this energy connected to the word Kabbalah, described it as aggressive, dangerous even.
That's not how you usually hear it introduced, is it? A dangerous energy.
Not at all. It's a really visceral, kind of negative starting point.
So, not a warm, fuzzy feeling. And origins. Did she get anything on where it came from?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, maybe even a bit strange. She didn't see it as like a human religion or belief system that just grew over time.
No. So what then?
She felt danger again and basically identified it as an extraterrestrial technology.
Wait, extraterrestrial? Like aliens?
That's the term used in the transcript, yeah. A system of control, she said, brought to Earth.
Okay, hold on. A technology for control brought here.
Yeah.
It's a massive departure from the standard understanding.
Absolutely massive. She perceived it as a convenient way to manage society, something that just gradually, seeped into everything.
A convenient method of social management. That sounds kind of insidious.
It does. It frames it less as spiritual discovery and more as, well, deliberate implementation.
So for you, what's the biggest takeaway from that specific idea? That it's ET tech?
I think it's that core idea, not human-derived spirituality, but an external system imposed for control. It just flips the whole narrative, doesn't it?
It really does. And then she hit a wall, trying to find out more.
Yeah, exactly. She described it like being a miner, hitting barriers, couldn't get deeper into the essence of Kabbalah.
Huh. Defenses or something else?
She wondered that too. Were they like deliberate defenses built into this technology? Or maybe it's known by another name, something she couldn't access.
That's fascinating, this idea of it maybe being hidden or masked.
It raises questions, definitely. What is the core? Is it protected? Or is the terminology just different depending on who you ask or maybe what you ask?
Could it be, psychological resistance too from Alla herself, being under hypnosis?
That's a fair point. It could be her own subconscious creating blocks. Or just an artifact of the hypnotic state itself when facing something perceived as maybe dangerous or powerful.
Or like the transcript suggests, maybe there are layers of protection.
Exactly. It leaves it open. But then there was this other image.
Yeah.
A hazy visual, like cigarette smoke, she said, against a dark, starry sky.
Okay. Symbolic.
And linked to a male energy. And importantly, the term Elohim.
Elohim, right? That's Hebrew. Can mean God or gods, plural.
That's right. And usually in Jewish tradition, that plural aspect is significant, suggesting a multifaceted divine.
The here.
Here, I'll link it to this singular male energy and this, well, obscuring smoke. It feels different, limited maybe.
And controlling, based on what she said earlier.
Yes, she felt this energy was powerful, that it sort of broke down individual personality, suppressed the living parts of a person.
Which ties right back into that ET control system idea.
It reinforces it strongly.
Yeah.
Very different from, say, a nurturing divine presence.
And she saw a difference between the physical and the ethereal?
Yeah, she saw Kabbalah physically as, like, groups of people. But the ethereal aspect was still that hazy smoke.
So maybe a disconnect? Like the people practicing it don't fully grasp the smoky essence behind it?
That's one interpretation. Or maybe different levels of understanding within the groups. She actually compared the structure, how it spreads, to network marketing.
Network marketing. Huh. Interesting analogy. Like it recruits and builds layer by layer.
Precisely. That structure allows it to propagate, maybe without everyone needing to know the full picture,
Yeah.
just their part in the network.
Okay, so let's shift a bit. How did she see the system changing over time?
Initially, she felt it relied pretty heavily on fear.
Fear. How so?
Portraying this, like, all-powerful supreme being that demanded worship. Absolute obedience. She even called it psychic enslavement.
Psychic enslavement. Wow, that's a strong term. Sounds like pure control.
It paints a stark picture, yeah. Using belief as a tool for manipulation seems to resonate with how power has often worked historically.
Yet it adapted, right? She said it got more sophisticated.
Exactly. As humanity, developed intellectually, started questioning things more, the system couldn't just rely on brute fear.
So it shifted tactics.
Yeah, it became more subtle, more sophisticated in its psychological manipulation to keep that control. Like an intelligence system, learning and refining its methods.
That adaptability, that's key to anything lasting, I suppose. Even a system of influence.
Definitely. Makes it harder to recognize, harder to resist if it keeps changing its approach.
And this is where she brought in the Bible and the Torah.
Right. She drew parallels, suggesting that Kabbalah, like those texts, can be understood and applied on many different levels.
Ah, okay. So it could appeal to, like, the average person and someone looking for deeper hidden meanings.
Precisely. That multi-layered nature gives it a really broad reach. Different things for different people, all within the same framework. Makes it powerful.
And she mentioned a rabbit hole.
Yes.
Yeah.
That once you start digging into Kabbalah, the deeper you go, the harder it is to get out.
Boy, that keeps people in.
This constant pull of new information, more secrets to uncover, it creates this loop.
Like you always feel you're about to get the final answer, but it's always just around the corner.
Exactly. That taps right into our curiosity, doesn't it? The fear of missing out on the ultimate truth. Very effective psychological hook.
Yeah, you can see how that would work. So who uses this system, according to Alla?
She felt it was primarily used by men in power for their own benefit.
Leveraging that ability to influence and control people's minds. Back to the social management idea.
Right back to it. If it really does affect minds like she perceived, it's obviously a potent tool for anyone wanting power or authority.
And the structure she saw, the pyramid.
Yeah, a very vivid image. Hierarchical, pyramid-like, with people at the top seemingly standing on the backs of those below them.
Like they were bowed over.
Yes, like a bowed posture. It's a classic image of power imbalance, exploitation maybe.
And again, with the network marketing comparison.
Yep, reinforcing that idea of it spreading outwards from the top, benefits flowing upwards.
But it wasn't just about power, was it? She said it offered a place for everyone.
That was another interesting point, like it had different cells or departments almost.
There's different skills?
Yeah, numerology, psychology, math, even practical skills. The idea seemed to be to integrate everyone based on their abilities, ensuring no one is left outside its influence.
Wow, that's incomprehensive. A system designed to absorb all parts of society.
Seems like a very clever way to maximize its reach, embedding itself everywhere by offering something to everyone.
And she mentioned taking things from existing texts, like the Torah.
Yes, like taking principles, say, about family relations from the Torah, but then reframing them within the Kabbalistic teachings.
So, co-opting existing values.
Kind of. It's a way to make the system feel familiar, maybe more legitimate, by aligning with things people already know or accept. A common tactic for new systems.
Okay, now the relationship with Judaism itself, Allah's take was unusual.
Very particular, yeah. She didn't see it as developing within Judaism organically.
Right, she saw it as separate at first.
Separate, yes, but then quickly getting drawn into Judaism, like a branch grafting itself onto a tree.
So an absorption, not a collaboration.
That was her perception. More like strategic alignment, maybe, than intrinsic development, different from the standard historical view.
And then the Torah, Old Testament, New Testament, that visual was wild.
Oh, yeah, the metal mechanism. Like a bicycle chain connecting tables, holding the books.
You couldn't make it up. And her interpretation.
That it was a way to sort of soften the Old Testament, the Torah appealing to one type, Old Testament to the masses, New Testament offering a feeling of freedom.
But all part of the same machine?
All part of the same underlying system, in her view. A very mechanical, engineered take on how those texts relate, not historical or theological in the usual sense.
Okay, next up. Sephiro, or something that sounded like it.
Right, and this is another big departure.
Okay.
Traditionally, Sephiro are like 10 divine emanations or attributes, abstract concepts almost.
Well, I saw.
An angel, specifically a dark angel.
Yeah.
Yellow-white aura, a crown associated with the Torah.
A dark angel revealing secrets.
Yes. Supposedly reveals esoteric knowledge, acts as a guide or instructor, but with its own agenda. Answering questions in a way that suits it.
That's quite a twist, personifying them as a potentially deceptive gatekeeper.
Exactly. Instead of pathways to the divine, it becomes this ambiguous figure controlling access to knowledge, possibly for its own reasons.
And the Sefer HaZohar, the Book of Splendor.
Another incredibly vivid description. A sacred book, golden glow, on a special stand, heavily protected.
Ornate.
Lock, ornate, gold-covered lock, yes.
Yeah.
And when opened, it emitted a golden light and a spirit
A spirit.
with bull-like horns, acting as a guardian, a gatekeeper.
Okay, like something out of mythology.
Totally. And this spirit was seen as a conduit, a way to access other dimensions, deeper understanding. Like through it, you could get all the answers.
But there's a catch.
Yeah, the feeling was that going down that path might lead to, like, total detachment from normal life. No going back to how things were.
That sounds profound, but also isolating.
Exactly. High stakes for that kind of knowledge.
So, going back to control, how does the system keep people hooked, according to Alla, besides the rabbit hole effect?
It's that constant revealing of new secrets, new knowledge, that psychological loop of curiosity. Always something more to learn, keeping you engaged.
In manipulation.
Definitely. Playing on insecurity, she mentioned the phrase, dare you not succeed, like challenging your ambition
Ooh, that's insidious.
and offering something for everyone's desires, their weaknesses. A very targeted approach. Find the hook for each person.
And this idea that the system provides its own energy.
Yeah, for those deeply involved, you could make them feel energized, fulfilled,
Right.
but maybe detached from the outside world.
Like a closed ecosystem, you become dependent on the system's energy, not external reality.
That's a good way to put it. The internal validation becomes stronger than anything outside, possibly leading to withdrawal.
And then that really dark idea about souls being ensnared.
Yeah, that once caught, the soul is just used for the system's purposes. No desire, maybe no ability to escape.
She compared it to religious beliefs.
Like reaching paradise or salvation, but without ever truly understanding the source you've connected to. Blind faith leading to unwitting servitude, essentially.
Deeply unsettling. Raises huge questions about free will.
It really does. And she kept linking it back. The underlying system being that ET technology, managed by demonic structures.
Right. The gray, smoky presence, the ringing in the ears she felt.
All reinforcing that initial, unconventional premise of her vision. Physical sensations adding to the perceived reality of it.
And the hierarchy within those demonic structures. More details there.
She saw it as a triangle again. Power concentrated at the top.
And at the very peak, ethereally.
A priest-like figure, golden aura, crescent moon staff. Those bull-like horns again.
Yeah.
Covered in unfamiliar symbols.
And the face.
That was bizarre. It seemed to have a face visible from every angle.
Whoa. All-seeing. Deceptive. Multidimensional.
Could be any of those. Very potent symbolism of ultimate awareness or maybe complexity.
And on the physical plane, who's at the top?
A group.
Mm-hmm.
About 12 or 13 people she saw. In suits.
Suits. Okay, more grounded, but with a twist.
Marked by a blue aura and strange holes in their foreheads.
Holes. What were they for?
She described them as implants. For receiving information. A kind of technological third eye.
Implants. Okay, that brings in that sci-fi tech element again. Blue aura often means psychic ability in some circles, right?
It is often associated with that, yes. But the implants make it a literal external technology for perception, not just innate ability.
And then things got even darker, with sacrifice and black magic.
Yes, disturbingly so. She mentioned human sacrifice and black magic rituals being introduced later as a corruption.
A deviation from the original purpose,
Yes.
which was just control.
That's how she saw it, yes. And she specifically mentioned the sacrifice of a black woman as a starting point for this corruption.
That's incredibly disturbing. Obviously vital to remember this is one person's perception under hypnosis.
Absolutely crucial. It's a very serious and dark claim, originating entirely within this specific context.
Okay, so recruitment, how does it work now? Did she say?
She suggested that maybe initially it was selective, looking for certain qualities.
But now
Now it seems more open. Anyone showing interest, kind of a the more the merrier approach.
back to network marketing again.
Exactly that parallel. And she felt influential families, those at the very top, benefit the most, building their power on everyone below.
Standard pyramid scheme dynamic, basically.
Seems that way in her vision. Power and benefits concentrated at the apex.
What's the appeal then? Why do people join if it's potentially like this?
Secrecy, for one. The allure of hidden knowledge. Prestige. Feeling part of something exclusive or important.
And promises.
Promises of a better life. Understanding the world. Fulfilling personal needs and desires. And loyalty gets rewarded.
How?
Bonuses, privileges, support within the system. Classic incentives to keep people committed and mask any downsides.
So looking ahead, is this thing going away, according to Alla?
She didn't think so. Not disappearing, but she did sense a kind of natural resistance.
Oh.
People who just aren't interested or whose vibrations don't align with it. Like it can't hook everyone.
So it needs specific types.
It seems so. And maybe it has cycles, periods of consolidating its power, then expanding again.
And getting into governments, how does that happen?
Through subtle manipulation, she felt, appealing to vanity, emotions, desire for material things, exploiting human weaknesses in people with influence.
Okay, finally, the Madonna example.
Right, a specific case study Alla perceived.
She felt Madonna got involved or caught back in the 90s.
Yeah, driven by ambition, fame, the competitive music scene, Alla felt these made her vulnerable.
And that it changed her.
Significantly altered her core essence was the feeling, trapped in a chaotic experience.
There was something about physical violence, too.
Yes, an incident, being beaten by her husband apparently, caused severe energetic interference in Alla's view.
And her appearance, looking young.
Alla attributed it partly to hard work, but also something artificial.
Artificial how?
This was really strange. She described a weird blue liquid instead of blood.
Blue liquid.
Yeah. And consuming energetically unnatural supplements. Again, very vivid, very specific, and definitely outside conventional reality.
So the connection to the broader themes was?
Ambition, fame, competition, creating vulnerabilities that the system, as Alla saw it, could exploit, leading to entrapment, alteration. The physiological stuff is, well, it's part of her specific hypnotic experience.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was quite the journey through some remarkably unconventional source material.
It certainly was a deep dive into a very specific, very unusual perspective.
Yeah. And it's just so crucial we keep reminding ourselves and you that this all comes from one individual's regressive hypnosis session. It's a perspective, not necessarily the perspective.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating lens, maybe unsettling for some, but it really highlights how differently people can perceive and experience these complex, often hidden subjects.
So thinking about this description, the adaptability, the pervasiveness, the different layers, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are maybe the less obvious ways systems of influence, maybe like this one, maybe totally different, might be operating around us today?
That's a really important question to ponder.
And what role does our own curiosity, that desire for knowledge or secrets play? Does it draw us towards things or does it help us stay critical?
Yeah, where's the line between seeking understanding and getting pulled into something? Definitely food for thought.